Fire took off really good again this morning. That won't last long in this weather. So the wood pile, I mean, we're really sucking to it now, but there's a lot of wood on this farm. We got other wood that's made, it's just not down here. It's probably around 15 below this morning. We've already done a bunch of things. So Mason, you wanna give a comment about the cold weather?
Oh, it's cold. The wind chills, I think. It said with the wind chills, today it's supposed to be like -20 or -25.
The feed stays in the shop overnight that we have left on the trailer, and it's just steaming. The frost on the windows. It's already 1/2 inch thick. We do leave a couple open for ventilation, but I have to be careful of how I adjust everything. Close up everything just right, but not too tight. These cows still need air. It's always kind of a fine line there, but this is already the 3rd day of this. Our cows are waiting for feed, so we're gonna get feeding. Got this big glacier of ice here. This is from when we filled that tank with the water when we're milking cows. So that runs through the plate cooler, helps cool. And then I guess it runs over and down through the yard she goes, but that's how it works there. It's more efficient in trying to let the cooler cool all the milk. And these calves, they all got jackets on. They're waiting for their milk. That one, I got 2 jackets on her even. But they're healthy. This is healthy weather for calves. The bacteria, the bugs, whatever you want to call it, the diseases that don't move in weather like this. It's way healthier. But we give them lots of straw. Really good bedding pack. That's very important. Every day, just a little fluff. Now, Mason was here about 10 minutes ago already, shoved everything up tight. We got a few, what we call the scraps from the manger of the barn. I'll take out like 2 wheelbarrows of kind of a hay and silage mix. It's all good feed. It's just the dairy herd, we focus on giving them the more fresher feed, and we bring some of that stuff to the heifers and dry cows. And they clean it up really good. Just keeps the mangers fresh. Get kind of a dampness in the barn when it's so cold and everything's so closed up. Appetites in the cattle are really good right now. Kind of the key to it. Dry bedding pack, plenty of good feed to eat. Every 3rd day we bring silage up. We'll be doing some of that today, even though we kind of use a dump trailer, which ain't a perfect deal. It's put the 3 big piles and push with the skid steer, and then it's pretty much good for 3 days. So I feel it's very efficient. You can get a lot of feed on there without much mechanics and all that to be concerned about. And we adjust it by the amount of cattle and in the weather. The first 2 days, they'll eat mostly silage with a little bit of baled hay, and then the 3rd day, mostly baled hay, and then they'll clean up the baled hay, and then we go back to silage again. So we kind of got that pattern going. Even my beard frosts up, and I know you guys that work outside know how that is. Your nose is draining because of the cold and ends up being icicles. Here we got open water, but we got buildup here. We usually get this. I just cleaned this away a few days ago when it was warmer, but it gets built up to the point where there's almost like a little tunnel from all the drool and little hay feed and stuff freezing on there. So we get up on the rail, look these cattle over. Looks like their bedding pack's gonna need some more bedding. And then the manger area, everything is froze, so they made nothing clean today. This is what you wanna see, all the cattle pretty much lined up, all looking to eat. And when they start eating, they start creating more heat. I mean, they're tougher than they look, you know, especially the adult animals. So that's the big thing here, the waters. It looks pretty clean. So it looks like so far in here, everything looks pretty good. Everything is up and eating. We do give them a little bit more grain when it gets cold like this. And again, it's going to be silage day for in here too. They're all going to need a bale of straw again in each pen, even though it don't look too bad. Everything is very freeze dried right now. We have nothing calving right now, which is good, because what happens when they calve, and it happened to me at least once a winter, where I'll get a heifer or cow calve up in here, and this is our area where we have that, and it's really bitter cold like this, like it's supposed to get really cold, and she's calving in the evening. What we'll do is I'll let her lick the calf off, and then I'll put the calf in the shop. Get a panel and a bag of lime and a bag of shavings, and someplace between the machinery I'll fix up a small pen so the calf can dry off, and then like the next day I'll bring the calf back to the mother. Like if it warmed up a little bit, put a jacket on it, because when they dry off they're usually fine. But we do feed the calf. We milk the cow here and feed it, but it's what you gotta do, otherwise they may freeze. Otherwise they're pretty tough. Well, I gotta finish helping Mason now feed cows. We'll be moving feed later today. So we could talk about the winters. There were some questions about, the worst winters, and I'll talk about how things were as I was growing up. So I grew up in the 70s and 80s, only like 3 miles further up the valley from where we are here with my brothers, and we dairied and all that. And same with my wife. She was just in another fork of the valley, roughly about the same distance with her family. So I do remember a lot more snow back in the 80s. It seemed like we didn't have the machinery we got today. I know my dad talked about, even he had a Farmel 200 with a rear blade. He had chains on, and they were very aggressive chains with kind of twisted link that went across the lugs. But anyway, that's how he opened his yard up. He had some winters where they had a tough time getting things opened up enough. Of course, the trucks and everything that went around was just 2-wheel drive, and a lot of times stuff just didn't move as fast back then. I do remember it being a lot colder. I don't remember ever not having school because it was too cold. I think a lot of the buses were still gas yet. There was a few of them going over to diesel, but I just think they just expected we were going to dress up warmer and be fine. When I came here, so we came here in 91, it did snow on Halloween night that year, maybe 6-8 inches, and it stayed. Then I want to think like the third week of November, it would have been opening of gun hunt. It snowed maybe like 2 feet. It seemed like it was getting below zero just about every night already at that point. That was the first winter I spent here. That was a little different, as again, I didn't have a Bobcat then neither. I did have a rear blade in a 1066, and I remember my tractor gelling up on us. We had to start putting number 1 in with the number 2 fuel. So that was a different year. But when it comes to the coldest winters that I remember here, 95 into 96, and then we had 96, 97 too. Both those winters were cold. There was a lot of snow both those winters, and I think the 96 and the 97 was even colder. One of those winters, we've had 40 below 2 days in a row. We have a thermometer on the balcony of the house so you can see it through the window. The temperature was 40 below just as it got light out, and some of you may not realize this, but Fahrenheit and Celsius come together at negative 40 below. In 97, we did have probably the most snow since I came here, but it was a different kind of snow, the kind of snow that was more like salt, where it would blow off the roofs, and the piles are getting pretty tall. It was already February,
when that was happening, and it was piling up. We were getting 8-10 inches every second, third day there for a while, and it got to a point where I couldn't push it off the road anymore. After chores, we'd go down with the bobcat and keep pushing it back further and further, because then it starts drifting, you know, with those ledges along the road. That was the most snow ever. And then actually, by the time we got to about mid-February, it kind of stopped, you know, where it kind of started to melt down and some of that. But there was quite the piles in the yard. You're almost like driving through tunnels already, you know. Even going through the yard, you couldn't just walk through anywhere, because it was so deep. You had to go where you had it bladed away. Then we had that, I want to think it's 17 into 18 where the roofs were falling in. Or was it 16 into 17? But anyway, I think it was 17 into early 18. That winter was a lot like this winter, where it got cold. It got really cold in January, where they canceled school and stuff for a few different days. But by the end of January, that's when the snow started into early February. So it wasn't a very long stretch, but we ended up getting almost 4 feet on the ground there for a while. And it was a different type of snow. It was a kind of snow that, it was a little heavier snow where it stuck to the roofs where it didn't blow off. That was the issue then, that year, where a lot of barns went down and stuff. We did have to shovel off the calf barn, and we didn't have the new bull barn, the heifer barn at that time yet. So even that barn, I was a little concerned. Even the shop, backside of the shop, was so drifted. We did take some of that off too, and then the lower machine shed. But you know, when you start hearing about different stuff happening in the community, you just want to prevent. So what we did when we built that barn, we did put the rafters closer together than they were recommended. They were recommended for a 12-foot span, and we put them at 8 foot. And actually, the new shed we got down the road, we got them at 10 foot. Higher than what was the rafters were engineered for. So it just gives you a little more cushion in case we run into that again. And I believe it will happen. We'll have that year again, just when and how.
Well, I'm going to tell you how we used to bed cattle back in the 80s where I grew up. Though there was these corn stock piles we would make, and we'll probably put a photo up of that. We used to make like 3, maybe 4 that would use like the flail chopper, the super MTA chopper boxes, and the Kiwani elevator. There's maybe, I don't know, 20 to 30 loads could be in each one of those. So we chopped the corn stalk direct. Back in those days, there wasn't that stay green in the corn, and it seemed like the corn would freeze earlier, and it would, most years it would turn out pretty good chopping it direct if you didn't chop it too early. When we build those piles, one person had to be up on the pile with like a 3-pronged fork and then pulling it to the edges and then stepping on it, making like a ledge, and then keep going around. For every load you went all the way around like that. It got to be quite a bit of hand labor, but you could make some really nice looking piles. And afterwards I really got into that, and I was always the guy on the pile for that. So then in the winter, when you hauled the manure had to be hauled every day, of course. Again, the super MTA with the heat houser. Once you took the gutter manure out to the field, on the way back, these piles would usually be on the edge of the field, someplace near the buildings. And you pull up alongside that, kind of hug the pile with the manure spreader. Then it was just a beater spreader with an apron in it. They weren't as tall. They were big, but they weren't as tall. But you would have a 3-pronged fork with you on the tractor, and you would go up and load that spreader up, heaping full of corn stalk. And if it would snow, you would have to shovel some of the snow off the top first, try to separate that, and then brought it into the yard, and we bedded our heifer barn up with that, where usually had to have some help. Somebody had to chase the cattle out and kind of watch them while you backed in with that tractor and spreader, and then used a beater and unloaded it into the bedding pack that way. Actually worked pretty good. Sometimes when it was supposed to snow a lot, we would get another load loaded up for the next morning even, you know, like if it was supposed to snow that night or something, so we could kind of get ahead of a storm and some of that. But that's how we bedded cattle then. Yeah, see now, this tank is the one that, from this hose, fills this just from the plate cooler. So there's warm water going in, so there's not much ice on this. So sometimes this thaws out completely when we milk cows, when it's not real cold. So I have my hammer here kind of handy. It's just kind of a poor hammer that's not good for other stuff. So that, like the tank over there and the one up there, they're just froze up for now. We only use them when it's above freezing. Doesn't pay putting any water in there, it's just gonna freeze anyway, and the hose leading to it and everything has got ice in it. That's been like that for years and it holds up.